Have you ever found yourself, stuck,
Right.
repeating the same self-sabotaging patterns, maybe in relationships
Yeah.
or caught in habits like addiction, even when, intellectually it's not good for you?
Yeah.
Why is it sometimes so hard to actually make the change we know we need?
It's a huge question, isn't it? And well, what our sources today suggest is that the answers often aren't out there. They're wired deep inside us in our own mental programming.
Okay.
And today we're looking at this powerful, almost forbidden psychological technique that claims to get right at those deep scripts.
Okay, let's definitely unpack that. We're doing a deep dive today into something really fascinating and maybe, a bit unsettling, the black file technique. You sent over some incredibly rich material on this, like mysterious origins, the steps involved.
Right. Our mission for this deep dive is to really get a handle on what this black file thing is, why the sources claim it was suppressed, and, how it supposedly works to fundamentally rewire your psychological operating system.
It's real.
Yeah, and the documents are very clear. This isn't gentle self-help we're talking about. It's framed as a direct, pretty raw confrontation with your own unedited truth.
Unedited truth. Okay. So let's start with the history, the origins. Our research suggests this technique, it apparently popped up in the early 1980s.
That's what the sources point to, yeah. Psychologists who are reportedly working on these deep retrieval methods,
Right.
they supposedly stumbled onto something they initially called the Classified Behavioral Interrupted Protocol. Sounds intense, right? Like something out of a spy novel, almost.
It does. And what did these early experiments find? Because the material mentions some pretty dramatic results.
Oh, yeah. Striking stuff. According to the documents, subjects experience things like emotional collapse, followed by what's termed identity reconfiguration.
Identity reconfiguration. What does that even mean?
It sounds like accessing memories that years of normal therapy hadn't touched. Imagine your core mental software getting a complete reinstall, not just a patch update. That's the kind of fundamental shift being described.
Well,
And here's the really provocative claim. It wasn't banned because it was dangerous, apparently, but because it was too effective, it just bypassed conventional therapy methods entirely. It suggests a really radical departure, not gradual healing, but like a forceful extraction of core self-deceptions.
that's quite a claim.
Yeah.
So if it's not a physical file on a shelf somewhere, what is a black file?
Good question. The sources describe it as a psychological construct, basically a hidden mental space.
The hidden space.
Yeah, where we apparently store unlived experiences, suppressed emotions, beliefs formed from pain, maybe shattered parts of our identity, habits we picked up just to avoid feeling bad. It's like a secret vault in your own head.
Okay, I think I can see that. And how does it connect back to, the listener's everyday experience? How does this hidden vault actually affect things?
Well, that's the key, right? This real programming, this unseen script, it can lead to all that stuff you mentioned earlier, self-sabotage, getting to the same toxic relationships again and again, maybe sudden anger, fear of intimacy.
Or just feeling kind of hollow, even if things look okay on the outside?
Exactly. That feeling of being inwardly decayed. And the material really emphasizes that a lot of this programming isn't even our own conscious choice. It comes from childhood, our environment, culture.
So we end up running on autopilot.
Pretty much, following a script we didn't even know we were reading.
Which, raises the big question. If we're all running on these invisible scripts, how on earth do you even start to read them, let alone try to rewrite them?
Right, that unseen script idea, it's powerful. So if that's the problem, what's the core philosophy here? How does this technique propose to break that pattern? Is it gentle or... Because it sounds like it clashes hard with, modern think positive stuff.
It absolutely does. No affirmations here, no superficial fixes. The sources say it calls for a torch and real courage to basically descend into your own mind.
A torch. Wow.
Yeah, demanding a direct confrontation. And there's a serious warning attached. Once you open one of these files, your relationship with yourself apparently changes irreversibly.
Irreversibly. That's the word used. You confront parts of yourself that might be cruel, wounded, cunning, fearful, brilliant, or just completely numb. Forgotten memories, patterns you thought were just who you are. That's described as the price of clarity.
Wow, okay, price of clarity. That definitely frames it as something not to be taken lightly. So facing these, cruel parts, how does one actually start? What are the foundational steps the source lays out for this this massive internal shift.
Okay, so digging into the material, there seem to be 3 foundational stages that set the groundwork. The first one is called the mask destruction.
Mask destruction.
Yeah, it's about systematically burning away the fake identity, the need to act good, the need to be liked, that constant what will people think filter. The sources present this as our biggest weakness, the thing that stops us from really knowing ourselves.
Okay, strip away the fake stuff, makes sense.
Yeah.
Then what? After the mask is off.
Then you move to the code construction. Once the old act is gone, the idea is you write your true code.
Your true code, like personal commandments.
Sort of. The source gives an example like, I will never betray myself. You choose one core principle like that, and then you commit to living by it, really living by it, for 30 days. Every decision, every reaction aligned with that code. The theory is a true, uncompromised self starts to emerge.
30 days of living by one core truth. That sounds simple, but probably incredibly hard.
Yeah.
So mass destruction, code construction. What was the third stage?
The final foundational stage is shadow integration.
Shadow integration, like Carl Jung's idea.
It seems related, yeah. It's about confronting and actually befriending your shadow. All the stuff you normally run, from fears, desires, maybe addictions like porn, overthinking, emotional dependency.
Befriending them, not just getting rid of them.
Exactly. And the technique apparently teaches you to turn them into a strength, not flee.
Right.
The material uses porn addiction as an example, claiming it's often less about weakness and more tied to, say, unresolved emotions or inner emptiness. And the idea is, when you confront your true self through this whole process, your mind supposedly rewires itself away from needing those cheap dopamine fixes. The need just dissolves.
So it's not just about knowing this stuff intellectually, but really dismantling the defenses we've built.
Right.
Okay, how does the technique actually do that? What are the practical steps? You called it a mental weapons system earlier.
Right. And the documents do shift to very concrete steps here. It emphasizes this is a psychological framework, not some magic trick. And again, that strong warning, definitely not for anyone mentally unstable or already feeling overwhelmed. It is a direct confrontation.
Understood. So given the intensity, that first practical stage, stage 1, preparation must be absolutely critical. What are the specifics? What do you have to do?
It sounds simple, but the research suggests apparently 90% of people fail right here.
90% just on prep.
Yeah. You need a quiet room, locked, no distractions, no phone, no screens, no music. You have to sit upright on a chair, not a comfy sofa or bed. It's presented as a mission, not meditation. Your body needs to be alert, engaged. Then a notebook and a pen. Handwriting is key. It slows you down, forces more deliberate processing than typing.
Okay. Notebook, pen, upright chair, quiet room.
And set an alarm for 45 minutes. And the rule is you do not get up until it rings. Total commitment.
45 minutes, locked in, upright, just you and a notebook.
Yeah.
So that sets a serious tone. What's next? Stage 2, dump the surface files.
Right. You open the notebook and you write this exact question at the top. What are the 10 moments I never talk about but constantly think about?
10 moments.
And don't overthink it. Just one line per event. No justification, no long stories. Some might feel silly. Others might literally make your hands shake as you write them. The core issue, the actual black file, is supposedly hidden somewhere in that list.
Hidden in plain sight, almost. So then you move to stage 3. Locate the fracture. This sounds like finding the X on the treasure map. How do you pinpoint the real black file from those 10 moments?
You read through your list slowly. And you're looking for specific physical or emotional signals. Did reading one make your chest tighten or your stomach clench?
Okay, physical reactions.
Or did you find yourself quickly skipping over one, dismissing it like, oh, that's nothing, that's a flag? Or, and this is apparently the most critical signal, did you read one and feel just numb, completely blank?
Numbness. Why is that the most critical?
Because the theory is the mind doesn't bother hiding trivial things. It only hides what feels too heavy to consciously carry. That numbness is supposedly the defense mechanism kicking in. That's your black file. Circle that moment on your list.
Wow, okay. So you find the numb spot or the one you skiff or the one that hits you physically. You circle it. Then stage 4, interrogate the memory. This sounds like where the real work begins. What questions does the technique say to ask?
Yeah, this is the direct confrontation. First, you try to recall the circled event using all your senses. What did the room look like, smell like? Who was there? What were the exact words said right before things shifted, right before the impact?
Okay, sensory recall.
Then, check in with your body again. How is it reacting now as you recall this? Hot, cold, hands frozen, trembling. Feel disconnected like you're watching a movie. Note it down.
And then specific questions.
Yes. Write down the answers to 3 direct questions. 1, what did this event teach me to hide? 2, what part of me died in that moment?
Wow. What part of me died?
Heavy stuff. And 3, what belief about the world did I form that day? The sources say if you feel uncomfortable answering these, good. It means the file is open.
That sounds incredibly vulnerable. I can definitely see why the next stage, stage 5,
Yes.
stay with the discomfort, is called the critical point where most people bail. What does it actually involve? Just sitting there feeling awful.
Pretty much, yeah. It's exactly what it sounds like. The urge to slam the notebook shut, grab your phone, run out of the room, it'll likely be overwhelming.
Right.
But the technique insists this is where the real change happens. Not in analyzing it more, not in positive thinking over it, but in just facing that raw echo of the past. The instruction is, don't write, don't think, don't analyze. Just sit still for 10 minutes and feel the memory's resonance in your body. Absorb it.
10 minutes of just absorbing the raw feeling. Okay, that sounds like the core challenge.
It's presented as the crucible, yeah, where your relationship with that memory can actually shift.
Okay, so if you get through that 10 minutes, you move to stage 6, translate the file. What's the goal here? More writing.
Yes, one last writing task for the session. You create a new list answering the question, how does this event still control me today?
Connecting the past to the present.
Exactly. List at least 5 specific ways. How does it show up in your current relationships? Why does your tone shift in arguments? Why do you maybe chase approval or sabotage good things? Fear of abandonment, need for control, discomfort with praise.
Okay, really mapping out the tentacles of it.
Right. Every point you list is like identifying an active line of code still running in your mental system, originating from that old file. The goal is making the subconscious truly conscious and specific.
And finally, stage 7. Close the session. After all that intensity, this seems vital for, mental safety. How do you disengage properly?
Crucial step. You write one final sentence in the notebook. The sources specify this line. This memory is now decoded. I do not have to relive it. I only had to recognize it to reclaim it.
Recognize it to reclaim it.
Okay. Then you physically get up and leave the room immediately. Go outside, get fresh air, touch something solid, speak out loud, maybe even force a smile, walk around. Do something physical to ground yourself back in the present.
Why the urgency to leave the mental room?
The documents warn strongly against lingering in that headspace. If you stay there, ruminating, the file can apparently re-engulf your consciousness, and all the clarity you just fought for can get blurred again. You need to actively shift states.
That makes sense. Seal it off, ground yourself. Now, we have to reiterate that very stark warning from the sources. Never open more than one file in a single session. It apparently risks genuine mental instability.
Absolutely. It's framed as internal reconnaissance, not therapy. And definitely not for everyone.
So we touched on why it might have been suppressed being too effective, bypassing therapy. That's a really provocative idea. Did the source material elaborate on that? Why would effectiveness be a reason for suppression beyond just disrupting an industry?
Well, connecting the dots in the material we reviewed, the suggestion is deeper than just economics. It implies that if a technique makes individuals truly self-sufficient in understanding their own source code, it fundamentally challenges dependency models.
Dependency on what? Therapy, self-help gurus?
Potentially all of the above. Anything that relies on external validation or continuous guidance. The sources hint that this technique shifts the power entirely inward, towards the individual's own capacity for self-discovery. And that level of autonomy, well, that could be seen as a threat in itself, beyond just business models.
That's a powerful and, definitely controversial perspective. It really reframes the earlier reports you mentioned, the dramatic results, clients losing identity, emotional breakdowns.
Exactly. Those 20-year-old memories surfacing with no immediate words to process them. It highlights that this isn't for someone who just wants to, feel a bit better.
Right. It's for people prepared to face the absolute truth. At any cost, as the material puts it. So let's talk about the aftermath. What are the shifts someone might actually experience after successfully opening a black file, according to these sources?
The descriptions are pretty intense. First, old excuses just fail. The familiar stories we tell ourselves, I just overthink things, or nobody loves me, or that's just how I am. They suddenly feel fake, hollow.
The internal narrative breaks down.
Exactly. Second, emotions intensify, often unexpectedly. A random smell, a face in a crowd can trigger a really strong reaction. But the sources say you're not breaking down. Your subconscious is actually reorganizing.
Reorganizing.
Yeah.
Interesting. What else?
Third, people might not recognize you, or rather, your old patterns. a new emotional baseline, maybe more silence, less reactivity. It can feel unfamiliar to those used to the old you.
That could be isolating.
Potentially, yeah. Fourth, your past looks different. You see not just what happened, but the patterns your mind built around it. You see the script clearly for the first time.
And fifth?
Fifth, you'll likely want to be alone more. But critically, it's framed not as depression, but as purification. Like detoxing from old lies, old facades, maybe even old relationships that were based on the mask.
Purification. That's a really potent word for it. It implies a cleanse, not just withdrawal. So after this deep, potentially disorienting cleanse, how do you rebuild? How does the source say you integrate this massive shift and actually build new strength?
Right, because you can't just stay in that raw, open state. The documents outline 3 core rules for integration. First, don't seek normal.
Don't try to get back to how things were.
Exactly. This process is framed as a rebirth, not just processing trauma. You have to let the old identity, the old system, die peacefully. Trying to go back to your old normal might be trying to reinstall the very thing you just worked so hard to escape.
Okay, let the old go. Makes sense. What's the second rule for building the new? Is it about thinking differently?
Actually, no. Not initially. The second rule is form new habits through behavior. Forget mindset hacks or affirmations for a bit, the source advises. After opening a file, the most powerful way to rewire is apparently through action.
Action first.
Yeah. Where you used to automatically say yes out of obligation, say no. Where you stayed silent, speak up, physically leave manipulative situations, you have to act differently even when it feels incredibly uncomfortable because your nervous system is still wired for the old loops. The key insight here is that belief will follow action, not the other way around in this context.
Act your way into a new way of being.
Okay.
And the final rule, after letting go of normal and acting differently.
The third rule is build your new identity in fragments. After tearing up the old map, there's often this sense of an identity void. Don't panic. You fill it slowly. Build the new map, one conscious decision, one acted upon truth at a time.
So not expecting a whole new perfect self overnight.
Exactly. It's about creating your new self piece by piece, anchored in the clarity you've gained from facing the black file, patiently, deliberately.
So wrapping this up, what does this all mean for you listening right now? The black file technique, as presented in these sources, it seems to promise this incredibly deep path to self-understanding, to freedom, but only through confronting these really buried truths that shape us.
Yeah, it really presents a stark choice, doesn't it? Go back to the familiar, maybe comfortable old scripts, or embrace the potential and the difficulty of becoming a truly rewired self.
It's a profound choice.
And the material leaves us with this final, really provocative thought. The person who fully understands themselves cannot be manipulated. They don't seek inspiration or validation. They operate from the source, unshakable, untouchable, unstoppable.
Unshakable, untouchable, unstoppable. Wow. That really leaves you with something to think about. Are you ready, truly ready, to embark on that kind of personal transformative deep dive into your own mental architecture? It's a question of potential, but also demands a level of stark honesty maybe few are prepared for, something to definitely reflect on.